When most people set goals, they spend a lot of time thinking about what do they want to achieve, how do they want to achieve it, but not enough about who do they need to become. Because the difference between who you are now and the version of yourself that's achieving the goals that you have are two entirely different people. The version of yourself that's achieving your goals, they have different knowledge, different skill sets, different habits and behaviors. They exist in a different environment. They have different belief systems. And so in order to achieve your goals, you need to get more clear on what does that future version of yourself look like? And then you can work to close the gap to become that person. And when you become that new character is when you begin to attract success. One of my favorite quotes is, don't waste your time chasing butterflies. Instead, focus on building a beautiful garden and the butterflies will come. And the same applies for success. And so you need to think less about what do I need to do and more about who do I need to become. This is something I've spent a lot of time thinking about in recent years because I used to get the cause and effect of success mixed up. I used to think when I become more successful, then I will have better habits and behaviors. I'll have a better environment. I will have different belief systems and more skills and better knowledge. When actually it is the inverse that's true. I'm a big believer that in life you shouldn't chase things, you should focus on attracting things, whether it's customers for business. I always want to be in a position where we're attracting customers rather than having to chase customers. Or if it's investors for the real estate business, how do we position ourselves in a way that we can attract these investors rather than having to constantly chase the money? The same in relationships. When it's dating, it's better to be someone that's valuable in a way that you attract the right partner into your life rather than chasing someone, because whatever you chase runs away. And instead, you need to devote time thinking about who do I need to become in order to attract the things that I want. And so when I say I got the cause and effect mixed up, it's actually what I thought to be true is actually the inverse that is true. It's when you develop more valuable skill sets, when you overcome your limiting beliefs and replace them with more empowering belief systems, only when you put yourself into better environments around better people, only when you actually look at what behaviors and habits you have that are destructive that you need to eliminate from your life and double down on more constructive habits and behaviors that build you up and make you a better person. Only when you do those things, you then begin to attract the success. So for me, before I started off in my entrepreneurial journey, I was unconfident, I was socially awkward, I didn't have skills like communication skills or the ability to sell. I had limiting beliefs that were holding me back. I was existing in an environment that wasn't inspiring. And so in order for me to achieve more success, I had to change those things. I had to get into more inspiring environments. I had to change those belief systems. I had to learn more skills. And so if we start with skill sets and knowledge, ultimately, the more skills you develop, the more knowledge you acquire, the more valuable you're going to become, the more value you're going to be able to provide to an individual, to a business, to a marketplace. And like I've said before, in a capitalist environment, the more value that you can provide and put out there, the more value is going to flow back to you, i.e. you're going to be able to make more money. And in terms of knowledge, I remember when I went on my first ever property seminar workshop almost 10 years ago now, coming up to 10 years this year, one of the first things a mentor at the front of the room told me was, you don't know what you don't know. And he said the purpose of that workshop, that seminar, was to uncover those things that we didn't know, so we can then have more clarity and direction on things we did need to learn. One of the biggest taxes we all pay is the ignorance tax. It's not knowing how to make £10,000 a month is costing you, well, if you can make £2,000 a month, not knowing how to make £10,000 a month is costing you £8,000 every single month. So the more knowledge and skills you can acquire, the more you're paying down that ignorance tax. And with skills as well, the better you become at a skill and the more skills you stack on top of each other, the more valuable you're going to become. But the growth isn't linear, it compounds. Let's say, for example, you're trained in massages or physiotherapy, something like that. You might be able to get paid £40, £50 an hour, whatever it is, maybe more than that. But then if you learn skills like marketing, you might be able to move away from being employed as a physiotherapist to starting your own business where through your new marketing skills, you can attract your own clients. And then if you learn sales, you might get better at selling your services at a higher price or selling bigger packages or cross-selling other things so you can then increase your income. If you then learn things like hiring and leadership and business, you could then begin to build a team underneath you. If you then learn things like branding, you can then build more of a brand out of your business. And then if you learn how to raise capital, if you learn more accounting and the finance side of business, You might start thinking about, okay, well, how can I maybe bring on investors now to scale my business and expand nationwide? Point being is, the more skills and the more things you learn that stack on top of each other, you can take just one skill of maybe being a good physiotherapist, or it could be an accountant, or it could be whatever technical skill that is. And then you learn these valuable skills and apply them on top. That's when you can really play a bigger game. And so for me now in business, I've got a lot of long-term goals. I've got a business that I've got a 10-year plan, 8 years away now. And in 8 years' time, we want to sell the company for over £250 million. And so all I want to think about is, who do I need to become as a person in order to build a business that can be worth £250 million? Who do I need to be as a leader, as a manager? What skills do I need to learn in terms of running an organization like that, being an operator of a business, in terms of the financial side of the business? What habits and behaviors do I have that aren't serving me, that aren't constructive towards that goal? Maybe where am I getting distracted, or where am I losing focus? What environments do I need to be in? Who do I need to be around and get in proximity with to help me achieve that goal? And what belief systems do I hold that are maybe still holding me back unconsciously, that I need to pull into my conscious mind, that can help me become someone that can achieve that goal and not be held back by these belief systems that aren't necessarily serving me? So as well as skill sets and knowledge, you have habits and behaviors. Habits and behaviors, well, not habits and behaviors are, but an inconvenient truth in life is, right now you are exactly where you deserve to be. And for some people, that's going to be uncomfortable to hear. It might trigger you emotionally. But one of the highest levels of emotional maturity, as Jim Rohn says, is the ability to take 100% responsibility for who you are and where you are. And the reason you're exactly where you deserve to be is because where you are right now is just a product of all of the decisions you've made along the way in your life. Some very minor decisions that have compounded over time, some huge decisions like deciding whether you should get married, whether you should get divorced, whether you should move to this country, move to that job, whatever it is. And so like I've said already, these habits can either be constructive or they can be destructive. They can be habits that build you up, make you a better person, drive you further towards your goals, or they can be destructive habits and behaviors that are holding you back. Things like alcohol, smoking, these are things that are destructive to your health, to your productivity, to your focus. Whereas constructive behaviors are things like going to the gym, looking after your health, reading, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, waking up early, or getting 8 hours of sleep a night so you've got the ability to focus throughout the day. And the first thing you need to get clear on is, what are the destructive habits or behaviors I have in my life? And just focus on eliminating them. And we call that improvement through subtraction. By eliminating and subtracting these destructive habits and behaviors, that will make a huge improvement. And then you just focus on doubling down and adding more constructive habits and behaviors to your life. I'm going to talk about belief systems in a future video because that's a very important topic I want to spend a lot more time on. But there's other things as well that you need to change about your character. And one of those things is character traits. And character traits are just these qualities or attributes that make up your personality and the way you operate. And when it comes to things like business, in order to be successful in business, there are, of course, a lot of common character traits that are patterns amongst successful people. Things like the ability to solve problems and be very solution focused in the way that you think. The ability to be very resourceful and understand that you're never going to have all of the resources that you need, but the ultimate resource is that skill and that ability to be resourceful. Things like confidence, things like humility, maybe the ability to not let your ego get in the way of your thinking or your decision making. You need to be able to have high pressure or high stress tolerance if you want to build an intense growth business where there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of obligation, a lot of weight on your shoulders. And then lastly, you need to change your environment, because if you change your environment, you will change your life. It is the number one thing that you can do to improve the quality of your life. If you're hanging around 5 people that you don't necessarily agree with their values, their direction they're going in their life, the things they stand for, the things that they do, that is going to have a huge impact on you, even if you're cognizant of the fact that you don't really align yourselves with those individuals. If you surround yourself with 5 inspiring people that are going in the right direction that you do align yourself with, then they are going to pull you with them. An example I've used before is if you go to the beach with 5 overweight guys, and you're in maybe average condition, you're going to feel really good about yourself, and it's going to affect your standards. You're going to think, okay, no, I'm in okay shape. If you go to the beach, again, with an average physique, but you're going to the beach with 5 guys in incredible physiques that are ripped, your standards are going to change. You're going to think, I need to get in the gym. I need to improve my diet. You're going to feel more inspired and more motivated. So if you hang around people that have higher standards, have better values, then It's going to force you to raise your standards, condition your mind to get better, and you're going to feel more extrinsically motivated. And your environment is not only who you spend time with, it's where you live, it's the content that you consume, it's all of the inputs that you have around you. And so you must take control of your environment, otherwise it will control you and it will control your life. And so to conclude, in order to achieve the things that you desire, don't just think about what do I need to do, think more about who do I need to become, because you become a millionaire by becoming the type of person that can become a millionaire. Don't just chase the goal, chase the character, chase that version of yourself that you need to become, and get clear on what the difference is between who you are now and who you need to be, and do everything within your power to become that new person and close that gap. These are some things that I've learned over the last few years that have worked for me, something I've been thinking about a lot recently. So that's all for this video. Hopefully it was valuable. See you guys on the next one.